This is a time to uprise. Welcome to today's show. We're only hitting March, and already this year it has been maybe more chaotic than even the previous years, even with the outbreak. And because of that, I want to go through the Illuminati card game just for a few minutes so we can look at some of the crazy things that have already happened in 2 full months in 2023 as we head towards Agenda 2030. Now, there's obviously a lot of cards and there's a lot of things you can use, but I'm just going to focus on the big news stories over the last 2 months and show you the connection with the card game. And I'll start here with obviously a few. These are all big ones, but you're going to be surprised to see how some of these have been predicted in the Illuminati card game. If you don't know, the Illuminati card game shows beforehand, like sigil magic, the same way that works, shows what's going to happen beforehand. They had the Twin Towers, they had the Pentagon attack, they have had a lot of things in the past that have come to fruition because, well, they know exactly what's going on and they produce these things and they're allowed to produce them for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, they just look at this stuff as a conspiracy. So we'll start with World War III. That's probably the biggest thing that we've heard about so far this year in regards to everything going on with Russia and everything going on with China. And that obviously coincides with everything going on in Ukraine. Now, most recently, we've heard about Russia and the nuclear treaty, and we continue to hear these rumors of an international communist conspiracy, which ties again into the Illuminati card game. But the quote-unquote conspiracy, which is not a conspiracy, the only conspiracy is really being done by the governments on their own people. But we hear the rumors that China and Russia are going to team up because, remember, the goal here is to destroy America. America has to be taken down to its knees. You see the Democratic Party deliberately doing that in America. You know, America's an embarrassment and it's a joke. Not that it hasn't been in the past, but I mean, the stuff that we actually debate over, like if men can get pregnant or not, it's true insanity. And on a world stage where obviously we've gone from a superpower, quote unquote, to a train wreck, an embarrassment. So we have China, we have World War III. Let's get into some of the funnier topics, like the flying saucer. Remember we had the flying saucer news that we heard about over and over again, how unidentified flying objects were getting shot down all over the place, right? We had Alaska, we had one in Canada, right? Because, you know, UFOs are obviously something created by the government. The actual flying saucer is a CIA creation. The intelligence agencies create these things. They do fly them up. People have a tough time understanding this because they've seen unidentified flying objects. They've seen weird things in the sky. So then when they hear people like me and you talk about how it's actually the government, they don't believe it. And then as far as aliens go, we all know that aliens are actually demons. They have changed the terminology. That is so that people continue to distance themselves from God and believe in this fake history and these fake stories that they put out there. If people actually knew that they were demons and realized that they were demons, then more people will be drawn to obviously find God and realize that evolution and all this other stuff is all made up, the moon landing, you name it. So we had the flying saucer story. Then, of course, we had maybe one of the best ones of the year, which was the weather satellite, right? We had the weather satellite, the China quote-unquote spy balloon, which was really a quote-unquote weather balloon, a weather satellite from China flying over America and a few other countries. Now, obviously, nobody's really believing that story because our government allowed it to stay in the air the entire time. And we know, if you saw the video I did a couple weeks ago before my channel was taken down, about what was going on over America as of 2019 and 2020, that the FBI had admitted that they were using surveillance balloons to track people. And they were saying it was for quote-unquote drug purposes, right? But this story obviously was one of the funnier ones that has come out. And perhaps maybe even a bigger story than the actual rumors of war with China and Russia is what happened with the train derailment in Ohio. And believe it or not, one of the playing cards in the game is the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. Why is this important? Well, the EPA did absolutely nothing to help the people in Ohio. The EPA is obviously another one of these controlled government agencies that's supposed to work for the people and does not. They come in and they tell you that the water is safe to drink, that the air isn't polluted. You know, just a spew of lies, the same things you hear from the White House, the same things you hear from the CIA, the DOJ, you name it. Okay, all these people who lie and do these things that you think that they're there for your protection. They are not. They are there to make sure that these things go through the way that they want them to go through. And of course, in the situation in Ohio, the EPA wanted that damage to be done. That's one of the reasons that you had the president of the United States didn't even show up. He showed up in Ukraine. I mean, obviously, these are things that are part of the show. But the EPA did not actually test the water and make sure the water was approved. The EPA put on a show And a lot of people in Ohio are livid about the EPA's involvement and how they've handled it thus far. And of course, that's just the way that the government handles everything. And that's part of this whole illusion of the government, which is true. I mean, the government's incompetent, but they want to continue to create that illusion so that people demand a new government. That's the whole point on both sides, that they demand that the system's rigged. Because if they just, again, if they were just in power and they said, you know what, we're getting rid of capitalism, we're creating what we want, that's the end of the story, then people would rise up against it. They have to convince people that this is for their betterment. So we have people acting like complete imbeciles. Trump played the same role, just from the other side of it, where maybe he didn't come off as an imbecile, but he came off as a horrible person. At least that's how the liberals viewed it. Whereas, now you see how conservatives respond to Biden, and everyone's pulling their hair out because, Biden, you have Kamala Harris, they're falling off stairs, they can't complete sentences, they're, embarrassments on purpose. Another big story that has happened in 2023 is the earthquake in Turkey, and that starts where? It starts with NATO. You might remember I covered this, and then coincidentally, wink, wink, my channel got taken down, but how NATO said there would be dire consequences if Turkey did not allow Sweden and Finland to join NATO, because all the parties involved in NATO have to all agree on who's allowed in. Everybody wanted them in, but Turkey didn't, because Turkey had reasons that they believe that they shouldn't be involved, personal reasons. So what happens a week later after they said that there's going to be serious consequences? Well, earthquake after earthquake after earthquake have struck Turkey, and over 50,000 people as of right now are dead. In a normal world, when an organization as big as NATO, which is really the world government, threatens a specific country by saying there will be serious consequences, you would think that people would actually think that maybe earthquake after earthquake after earthquake in Turkey could somehow be connected to NATO. Now, they don't believe in weather manipulation and weather control, even though they've probably watched the History Channel, they've seen cloud seeding, they've seen the ability to manipulate and create earthquakes. They talk about it openly, but they would never think that governments would be doing that to people. They would never kill 50,000 people. They would do it in the blink of an eye. And that's exactly what's occurring there, but nobody's suspicious of it. But if I said something, of course, if I did a video on YouTube where no one's really watching, because I don't really have anyone that's, watches anymore, or even when I had bigger channels, if I said something about someone or YouTube or whoever, and I said there's going to be serious consequences, the FBI would probably show up at my front door. So when NATO gives a statement like this, they didn't come out and they didn't go, hey, we want you to reconsider. We're going to do our best to talk to Turkey about convincing them to let them in. No. They said serious consequences if they blocked Sweden and Finland. So what did we get? We got controlled earthquakes, controlled demolitions, obviously very tragic. It's amazing how our country doesn't even discuss these things really in the White House or anywhere else. There's no, oh, let's pray for Turkey, these people who are hit with an earthquake. Instead, it's give your money to Ukraine, which brings me to, of course, foreign aid, right? I'll transition right into that one. That's the Illuminati card game, foreign aid, right? Giving all of our money to Ukraine, of course, who are martyrs, right? See what I did there? But it worked perfectly, right? Because that's really what the narrative is that we hear over there. So there's other ones that obviously we could all look at. The energy crisis is a big one we hear about in the UK, right? The UK is running out of energy. We destroyed the pipeline. People in the UK are blaming America for their energy woes over there. It's all being done on purpose, of course. And they're telling us we don't have enough energy, but we're not drilling for oil and gas. Of course, this all ties into control and the climate Green Deal. But I mean, you would think people would say, why aren't we, trying to get oil? But we don't want to get oil because we want our energy grid to fail. This is the whole point of what's going on. So the energy crisis is a big one. Then you have gun control, right? What happens with gun control? Well, we see all these events that constantly occur, right? Now, you could use the gun control for every single month of every single year because there's always an event. And then right after that, the government comes out and says how they want to grab anyone's guns. And of course, the celebrities come out like Katy Perry. If you didn't see my recent video I did on that, Katy Perry comes out, maybe the worst acting job ever seen on national television, on any television, even in high school gymnasiums, we haven't seen acting that bad. Like I mentioned, Troll 2. I mean, we haven't seen acting that bad, where Katy Perry was bawling his or her eyes out over the fact that the government has failed everyone because they haven't confiscated everyone's guns. Because, people die from people can die from a knife wound, right? But, we're not going to grab people's knives, are we? People can die from getting hit in the head with a club, a golf club. We can take people's golf clubs. I mean, the whole concept of it is insanity. But of course, we all know why. They want to confiscate guns, and they play at people's heartstrings by constantly doing events that people can relate to. Schools, malls, grocery stores, you name it. So that, of course, was Katy Perry. That, of course, is a narrative that we always see. And then one of the other ones, that is very common is rewriting history. We hear about how, our country needs to rewrite its history. We need to not teach the stuff that we used to. All this stuff, which is fine by me because the history was clearly written anyway. The majority of everything that we've ever learned in a school is a lie, right? And then the things that they've removed from school, like God, are the only truths in this world. But rewriting history is another one of the narratives, like gun control, that you could use every year, at least recently, because they're trying to erase history so that they can make white people into villains. And the stuff that they're doing is just, look, just read the Communist Manifesto. It's word by word of what they're doing right now. They're convincing people to put government over family, over God. They're convincing people pretty much that government is God. And whatever the government says goes, and anybody who questions it, they start, canceling people like us and then promoting all these other losers who are puppets to the elites and the celebrities, of course. So those are just some of the ones in the Illuminati card game in the year 2023 that you'll see out there. I'll continue to cover this. I don't cover it every year, but from time to time, I'll just go through it. This year has just seemed so out of control to me. Being on the website and everybody's just sharing so much stuff, and we can all see this stuff, and everybody kind of has the same response on the website as I have, where it's just holy crap, it's one thing after the other. It's every day. There isn't even a day off. There isn't even a day when nothing happens anymore. We see all these chemical bombs going off around the country. We see thing after thing, obviously rumors of the war. We see the balloon, the satellite thing getting shot down. All these things are obviously in the card game, and they show you it beforehand for a reason. I thank everyone again for being here on this new channel. I really appreciate the people who subbed. I know you might think it doesn't mean much, but it does to me because, again, I've have, some of my videos, even on my old channels, get a couple 100,000 views sometimes from the people who are subscribed, not new subscribers. That's one of the reasons I don't post there. But nobody comes over, to the new channels. And you can see how it depletes the work that I put in. I had 100,000 on Judgment. Judgment's gone. All those videos are gone. I'd have to re-upload all of them and probably put them all on the website. Then I go to Justice, which was set up, and they take that down right away too. So look how they've depleted, people, and a lot of people were new to the channel, so they have no idea what I've gone through. They have no idea where to find me, and I have to change the name, of course, because that's the only way I can get approved. So I appreciate everybody who has taken the time to subscribe. Obviously, I have another channel linked below. You can subscribe to that one as well. Hi, my name's Todd, as well as an old channel where I'm trying something else on. I won't explain it in the video, but you can check that out as well. I thank you all for being here again. God bless you and your families.